So assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to review the module of loops and sequences. So let's get started. So we learned about Python lists. So what are lists? It is a data type, a mutable data type in which we put elements of any data type into these square brackets and we can access them using index, and we can also do negative indexing. So it will start the selection from the other side, from the last end of the list. Okay, we can also use a list constructor on any other data type, primarily a string, to convert it into a list. So what it will do, it will uh, get all the characters of the string and make each of the character an element of the list. And we can also find the length of the list using length function, len function. And I have already told you that. And if we so what if we try to access an index that is not in the range of the list? It will throw an index error, and we can remove elements from a list using ter keyword and the index of that element. And we can also check whether an element exists in the list using the in operator, like this, or in keyword, you can say both. And we can use nested lists, which means a list as an element of another list. And we use double indexing for these nested lists, like first index is for the first list and second index is for the uh, nested list. And we can also unpack values from a list, like uh, we put the same number of variables as there are number of elements in our list on the left side, and put an equal, and put the list name on the right side. So what it will do, it will uh, copy the elements into those variables consecutively. You can see that if that numbers of element and number of variables don't match, it will give a value error. And sometimes we just want to get only one element as a value to our variable, so we can also collect the remaining elements of the list using asterisk rest. Slicing, we can do slicing like this. This is the starting index and this is the end index, and the end index is not included. We can also do step intervals, which is the third uh, argument or parameter here, which tells us to jump how many indexes. And append, we can do append, we can use append to add an element to the last of a string. And we can also use append to append a list to the end of another list. We can also use extend to we can use to add multiple items to the end of a list. Okay, so this append will just so there is a difference between append and extend. Append will just put the whole list, the second list, as an element of the first list, but extend will carry each of the element of the second list and put it as individual elements of the first list. There is also another method which is index, in which we precisely tell uh, that where they have to put our element. So first parameter is the index and second is the value. So we are putting a value of 2.5 at the index 2, which is the third place here. So after 1 2 we are putting 2.5. So remove. So dot remove method takes a value and only uh, removes the first instance of that element. Pop is used to remove and return a specific element. Like if we are popping 1, okay, this takes an index. We are popping the index 1, so which is second place. 0 and 1, this 2 will be returned. If we don't specify an element for the pop method, then the last element is removed, like this 5 will be removed. There is also clear method which will clear the whole list. This is also sort method which will sort the numbers from in ascending order. There is also a function sorted which returns a new sorted list instead of modifying the original one, which is also I think used in other data types which are immutable, meaning the original data type cannot be changed, but it will generate a new variable or data type. This will generate a new list which is sorted, and the original list is just left anyways. Reverse method is used to reverse to put to reverse the whole lists, like putting the last element to the first, and just like that. Index method returns the first index of a specific element in the list. If the element cannot be found, then it results in a value error. So there are tuples, and yes, we will be using the sorting method with tuples because tuples are immutable, and just like that we can put any data type in our tuples, but uh, after declaring it once we cannot put more values in it, and it is surrounded with circular brackets. It is immutables, and if we try to add an element to it, it will generate a type error, and we can access it just like and we can access element in tuple just like we did with the list. We can also use the tuple constructor to convert other iterables like strings, lists, and other tuples into a tuple. And we can also use in operator just like we used with the keyword, the list operator. We can use in keyword just like we did with the list data type, and everything is just same here. And also we cannot you have to understand that we cannot delete, modify, or put any values in the tuples, unlike we can do with lists. So this will generate an error. You can see that I have already explained it to you. So there is also a method count which counts that how many times an element uh, comes into our tuple or appears in our tuple. If it is not present, then simply it will return 0, and it must count method must take a value, otherwise it will generate a type error. There is also an index method which gives the index of the element in the list. If it does not find the index or the value is not present in the tuple, it will generate a value error. You can also pass an optional start index, like we are searching the index of the element string Python and we are telling it to start from the third index, like from here. Also put like the and index here, which is not included. The fifth index is not included. From 2 till 4 it will check whether there are any element string named Python. If yes, it will return the index, otherwise it will return uh, a type error or a value error. We cannot use sort with tuples because sort method changes or manipulates this tuple. So we have to use a sorted method specifically with tuples, because it generates a new list uh, of the elements sorted in an ascending order. We can also give key values to it, like we can say length key equal to length. It will sort it based on the length of each element, so in an ascending order. And we can also give it like reverse value true, so it will what we say reverse the whole string. I don't understand what this does. Anyways, let's move on. So we uh, looked into loops. What are loops? We write it's a code which helps us iterate our a specific block of statements, like we can iterate through the elements of a list. We are putting the list name here, and we are assigning each element to a variable named language using the in keyword, and we have to put for loop at the starting because it's a for loop, and we are putting the print statement here which prints the value of language in each iteration. So we will get each element one by one on the screen. And we can also iterate through a string. It will iterate character by character of the string, just like that. And we can also use nested loops, a loop within a loop, and while loop, which keeps running until its condition becomes false. Where it is, yes. So as long as the condition is true, it will keep on running. So break and continue statement, whenever so if you want to break our loop, whenever a condition is met, we can use the break statement. And if you want to skip the current iteration and move on to the next iteration, we can use continue statement. And both loops, for and while loop takes an else block which only executes when the loops are not terminated by a break. We can also use the range function, which we just recently used in the last project. I will put a link there so you can check that. It has three index: start, stop, and step. So if we don't give, so you only give a single value, it will just uh, stop. It will just what we say, treat it as a stop index. And if the start index is not included, it will start from 0. And step is an optional parameter or an argument, and it will increment one by one. So let me explain this. We are starting from the value 2 and going till the value 11, but we are skipping two values uh, in each iteration. So you might be thinking what this range function returns. It returns a sequence of numbers. So range function must take an argument, otherwise it will generate a type error. And it only takes integers. And we can also use a negative step for decrementing. We can also use these in lists constructor to generate a list of numbers. And we also have enumerate and zip functions. And enumerate is used when we have to keep track of the index of each element we are iterating over. So we give it our iterable, and we unpack the values here before the in keyword. And because it returns an object, I think basically it's a tuple where the first value is an index and the second value is the value or element in that index in the iterable. So that is why this what we say, so that is why this order is important. Basically it's mostly used with for and while loops. And we also have zip functions. It is used to iterate over multiple iterables in parallel. Okay, we have two iterables. In our case these are lists, so we are giving it to zip function. What it will do, it will keep track of both of the iterables. So from the first iterable, which are developers, we are taking the value and we are unpacking it into our variable name, and from the IDs list we are unpacking it into variable dev ID. Okay, we can also use list comprehensions to create a new list in a single line by combining a loop and a condition directly within square brackets. So what we are doing here, we are generating a sequence of number from 0 to 21 and only returning or putting those numbers which are divisible by 2 into the lists. I have also made a video on list comprehension in detail. You can find it on my channel. There are other methods like filter, which will filter out words based on a function, which will filter out elements of any iterable based on a function. And there is also a map like this, which will do calculation on the elements of an iterable based on what we say a function, and mostly we use function which is a lambda function. Sum function just sums up the elements of the whole iterable, most likely which are numbers, and it's a positional argument which is that where to start the value, from where to start. So it will start from wherever the value 10 occurs. You can also give it like this. So lambda functions are inline functions which do not have a value, and we have to uh, what we say, keep in mind that we should not assign it to any variables, because it defeats the purpose of anonymous function. So what we are doing here, we are checking whether a number is even. If yes, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Finding those values based on this condition, which is then filtered by using the filter function. You can also find this lambda function on my channel. I have made all I have explained all the concepts here on my channel in detail. If you did not understand today, you can find it on my channel. So let's move on. Let's do the quiz and finish this chapter. So correct syntax of a list. Last element Tokyo. What is an iterable? No. What will be the following print to the console? So we are starting from this first index, which is second value, till the third index, which is not included. So 1 2 3, so these two will be printed, which are cookies and ice cream. The following method is used to add an element to the end of the list. It's append. What will be printed to the console? So we are using extend. This will append each values individually. 6 8 10, yes. Specific index in a list, we use insert. What will be printed to the console? 23 4 and 5 5. Clear. What is a tuple? Tuple is an immutable data type. The following is the correct way to unpack items from tuple. This is the correct way. So we are deleting the value at the second index, which is 23. But this is a tuple, it will generate a type error. So we are finding the index of the element Python starting from the third index. So 0 1 2 3 and 3 4 5, we will get 5. New list of created of sorted values. Sorted, where to use a for loop. This is the correct way. Okay, which of the following functions used to generate a sequence of integer range? Which of the following functions used to create our multiple iterables in parallel? Zip. Okay, we have completed it. So congratulations on it. So we will move on to lists, or so we will move on to dictionaries and sets tomorrow, and we will try to fast track on it because it's a relatively smaller module compared to our previous ones. So yes, this is it for today. Till then, Allah Hafiz.